Hello everybody, welcome to our channel. I'm Sam.
I'm Ryan.
And this is Versus.
Woo!
Woo! Today we are doing an episode of Versus that has been heavily requested, a topic that has been heavily requested. Everybody wants us to talk about Heathers. And so today we are doing a Heathers fan versus a Heathers actor. If you are unaware, Ryan, tell the people why you are a Heathers actor today.
When Heathers the movie was conceptualized and adapted into a musical, I originated the role of JD.
I think we should just hop right in. We have a lot of feathers? No? We have a lot of Heathers fans in our fan base, so hopefully you guys enjoy this video and we can talk about some fun things that you have been dying to hear get discussed. Here we go. Hair tie, gosh, no.
Continuity. You've broken the video.
I've broken the video.
I have a bracelet on too, but it's not a hair tie, it's a daddy bracelet.
Daddy bracelet. I feel so grossly unprepared for this video just because like I have a blue blazer I could have worn. I have scrunchies. I have Heather's merch. Like I really could have showed up.
Maybe we'll have to make a part 2 that we dress up for.
Love that. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
What is the question gonna be?
Starting off with a heavy hitter.
Okay.
Which Heathers is better, the movie or the musical?
Wow. Okay, right out the gate.
For me, I think it's just like how we define better, because I kind of have two answers. I'm going to do my best to be as unbiased as possible. Of course, I love the musical because I was in it, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career. But the only reason it was so cool to me was because I was a massive fan of the movie. So I do have allegiances in both camps. If better means precedent setting, I think the movie. I mean, the tropes that the movie established can't be ignored.
No.
Just kind of in terms of that whole John Hughes era and, you know, the trio of baddies and the outsider being accepted in, also like the darkness and sort of the cult lore that then you saw in so many of these sort of teen angst movies that followed it. But if better means just like as a piece of art more entertaining, as amazing as the movie is, the musical, I think, and this is props to Kevin and Larry, like the tone is perfect. The tone is just perfect in the musical, and the way that the music ebbs and flows with the emotions and hits all the highs and hits all the lows. I think the tone is perfect, and I think it's like way more entertaining than the movie is. The movie's kind of like jolty sometimes, I think.
Yeah, that's, it really is so hard because I have such a big place in my heart for both.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually gonna say Heathers the musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Heathers the movie for all that it is, but I think Heathers the musical, like through and through, is more entertaining for the entirety of it. There are some moments in Heathers the movie where it's kind of like, I don't know, it like shifts tones kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that was just like an 80s thing, I don't know, but still love it, but Heathers the musical.
Yeah, well, as a representative of Heathers the musical, we accept your praise.
My turn.
Yes, indeed.
Who is your favorite Heather? Oh gosh. I say we say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Chandler. Heather Chandler is just HBIC. And she's so ridiculous. Like in the movie and in the musical.
Yeah.
Like that just like bad beep energy is like unprecedented.
Please use the vocabulary that has been established in the Sam and Ryan lore. For those of you who don't know, you can't swear on YouTube.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you can, but then they won't monetize you, and like, we do have bills to pay. Bills to pay.
What?
You haven't. So, in order to use colorful language without being demonetized, we censor ourselves with the word soup.
Yes. So Heather Chandler in both the movie and the musical have really bad soup energy.
I'm obsessed with it.
So yeah, Chandler. I mean, there's really no discussion or debate here.
Heather Chandler is all that and then some. She's the culture. I mean,
Oh,
that,
1000%.
you know, the quote, you know, she's a mythic soup. Like, that, yes, Heather Chandler in the musical and Heather Chandler in the movie are different, but they both derive from being mythic soups. Like, and that...
It's just unmatched.
It's unmatched.
Quick note, if you are a big fan of the Sam and Ryan channel, you might notice we have a white table. Now this was not planned. This is not
Tragique.
intentional. We truly just can't find our black tablecloth. So please ignore this. Please forget it. Moving on. I just had to say that.
Like and subscribe, give our video a bunch of views so that if we have to, we can
Buy another table.
use those ad dollars to get a new table/tablecloth.
Your turn.
An uncovered table versus a covered table. We got thick boys today. We got
Thick boys.
literal cardboard. Do you prefer JD from the movie or JD from the musical?
This is hard for me.
I won't.
You won't.
You prefer JD from the movie?
You won't hate me.
No, I'm surprised to hear you say that.
So it's hard because I prefer, here's my breakdown. I prefer Act 1 JD from Heather's the Musical, and I prefer JD at the end of the movie over Act 2 JD from the musical. Hear me out. I love all of JD's songs
Yes.
in
Oh my God.
Heather's the Musical.
Yeah.
To die for. Mwah. Bravo.
I didn't write them, but thank you.
But bravo on your performance for
Thanks,
them. Come
Sam.
on. I prefer your JD at the beginning, and then I prefer Christian Slater's at the end, only because your JD goes to a depth and like a scariness that is brilliant, but scares me. Like, truthfully. And I feel like Christian Slater's JD in the movie towards the end is a little bit more like, okay, this is just like a troubled soul who lost his way. And whereas JD in the musical, I think is a troubled soul who lost his way, but is so dark and like off the deep end by the end of it.
So what's your answer?
Half and half. I know that's such a BS answer.
It is.
But like, that's my answer. I prefer, yeah.
Well, I'll give a real one.
Okay.
JD from the musical.
Yeah.
And that's not because I played him. Because I prefer Christian Slater to me. Like, I love Christian Slater. But I think in the movie, when you ask, why does JD do these things? It's kind of like, he's a troubled kid, he's an idiot, he has violent tendencies. When you ask why does JD do it in the musical, I think that you get more of a human look at sociopathy.
Yeah.
A more fleshed out look at the derangement that can follow being so coldly ignored by your parents, by your teachers. Your point that I appreciate and that I understand, like Christian Slater's JD kind of does everything with a smile.
Yes.
And eventually Ryan McCartan's JD is a terrorist.
It's like for the cause, and like there's like no smile. I mean, there kind of is, but like.
Which is sort of like what a terrorist is.
Yeah.
It's like I have a mission, and I'm going to take down the things that stand in my way to get my mission. And also, there's you know, Heather's the movie was before Columbine and before the entire culture of, you know, school shootings and things of that nature, terrorism at school. I still have mixed feelings about whether or not it's okay to go to that place with that musical. You know, I remember like we were doing Heather's the Musical when Santa Barbara happened, and we had a student Q&A after that, and people asked us about that, and we had our talking points about like, this isn't a show about school violence, it's a show about anti-bullying, but it is a show about school violence. The main one of the main characters is a terrorist. I like the darkness.
Sure.
I like exploring the sociopathy. I like when JD stops smiling. I liked during Meant to Be Yours when people realized they were suddenly watching a completely different show. I don't feel like that happens in the movie, and I feel like that's because of JD, and I love him for that in the musical.
So well said. So well said. I mean, both are brilliant.
But like, I love Christian Slater. So,
Yes, of
you know,
course.
like, Christian Slater over Ryan McCartan, but musical JD over movie JD. That's how I feel.
T.
You're not supposed to say T. You're supposed to say, no, Ryan McCartan over Christian Slater. I love you, babe.
Oh no, Ryan McCartan over Christian Slater. I love you, babe. Thoughts on the West End Heathers?
Right, okay.
So, if you do not know, Heathers the musical was an off-Broadway production. A lot of people consider Heathers the musical a Broadway show. It was not. It was off-Broadway.
It's like, this happens in my career so often. Everyone's always like, oh, you were in Rocky Horror Live, right?
It was not live.
Oh, you were in Heathers the musical on Broadway. Wasn't on Broadway.
Was not on Broadway. Can you give a quick explanation for people who don't understand the difference between off-Broadway and Broadway?
Yeah, so it's literally theater in New York, and the distinction is seat count. So literally the distinction between on Broadway and off Broadway by the league is 499 or less seats is an off Broadway house, 500 or more seats is an on Broadway house. New World Stages, where we did Heathers the Musical, 499 seats.
Wow.
So that house was purposefully designed to be the biggest an off-Broadway house could possibly be. And I always made the joke that, like, can't we just put a lawn chair in here and make it 500 seats so that we can be a Broadway show?
So you could get a Tony.
Right.
After Heather's time off-Broadway was over, it went to the West End. Not immediately after. Like, this West End Heathers happened, what, a year and a half ago? 2 years ago?
Right, ago, yes. 3? Gosh, what is time anymore?
I don't know. It's 2021. Like, I truly don't know. In recent history. But it wasn't the same show. They did some rewrites. They removed Blue, which is a very comedic song in the original Heather's cast recording, but is about date rape. And they replaced that, I believe, with I Say No, and I miss Blue. I saw a lot of, the cast and creatives talking about, in this day and age, why they wanted to replace Blue. I get that I Say No was like the woman empowerment song, which I obviously support, but Blue, coming from Kurt and Ram's perspective, that's like so messed up. I think it's more effective that way. As far as the rest of the West End production, I haven't seen a slime tutorial of it. I've only seen some of the promotional content that they've put out. A lot of talented people, no more real notes.
Yeah, I mean, so first and foremost, as an original cast member of the original production of Heather's going to more places, being seen by more people is a victory. So that is my official stance. I feel this way about the West End Heathers and also the Riverdale Heathers. Like, we did what we did like 6 years ago. The ink has barely dried on our chapter of the lineage. So like, create a cohesive thing. When I did Rocky Horror Picture Show, Tim Curry was a part of it. The original executive producer was a part of it because they're still around.
Yeah. Like all of you are still around.
Like, create a blend, a family unit, do something with that. Like, imagine if we could have done more of this in an official capacity, just how that would have blended the culture and made this a more like celebrated thing. I mean, I feel like people who are fans of the West End Heathers sort of only know that, and people who are fans of the original Heathers only know that, and it creates this originalist versus non-originalist thing when so this is a grander conversation than what happened with us, but it just sort of feels like when the lineage of what you're doing is still intact, you should include them as you go forward.
Yeah.
And then yes, in terms of Blue, I couldn't agree more. Turning a song that is the exact vocabulary that actual teenage boys use today, not 10 years ago, not 20 years, today still. That's effective. That feels like teenage boys expressing their honest point of view so that everyone can look at that and see it magnified by 10 on a musical theater stage and intellectually know this is ridiculous, and if anyone ever says this to me, I should do exactly what Veronica did and make those mother supers pass out and bounce.
Yeah.
Whereas when it becomes a number that feels like it was written by woke Twitter, like, where's the substance? This is where I'm a bit of an originalist too. I mean, just because I watched what John Edson and Evan Todd did with Blue. I know how precious Blue is to Larry. It's an incredible song. Is it massively offensive and extremely problematic? Yes, that's the point. And
exactly, that's the point.
And we shouldn't shy away from that. To make Heathers one of the most irreverent things ever more safe? That just,
sorry, that's probably not the thing to fix. Like, if you're trying to make Heathers more safe, then you don't have Heathers.
Exactly.
I do think they could have just taken Heathers as is and done it in the UK. I don't think that Heathers can be on Broadway in the US anymore. Like, I just don't think you can do it here. Like, our histories of school violence, school terrorism, like, I just do not think you can do Heathers here.
Now, if you really concentrate on making it a nuanced exploration of what that is in this country, I think you can.
But that's not Heathers.
That's not what it is. Well, and I think it could be that, but even in its iteration in the UK, even with the changes that have been made, it still kind of dances around that. Because the movie is a love story.
Yeah.
Where the girl realizes he's toxic and moves on, and he happens to, build bombs in his basement.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean anything because none of that had really happened yet.
Yeah.
Now that it has, you either have to lean into that or you have to back away from that. You can't just sort of dance around it and be like, isn't it funny that he's a white guy in a trench coat shooting
Blowing
a
up a
school?
school.
We've seen white guys in trench coats shooting schools in this country over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's more fragile here, I agree with you. Favorite piece of Heather's trivia? So yeah, I have a lot of Heather's trivia in the
All
back
right,
of my
you
mind.
go first.
Yeah, so first of all, I love the colors of the Heathers.
Yeah.
Red being the color of power, Heather Chandler, green being the color of envy, Heather Duke, and yellow being this, like a brand new chick, this fluffy, dismissible, that's exactly who Heather McNamara is. I think that's incredible, very smart. I think we really played into that.
In the musical, for sure.
And another piece of trivia that I love is in the movie, the harmonica is the instrument that's used to bring JD into and out of certain sequences to kind of like have him be the Wild West outsider, the dangerous guy who's going to pull his gun out.
I have a piece of trivia for the movie. The word Heather was said 90 times in the movie,
great.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
I almost think that it would have been more, but 90 times.
I love that.
Another piece of sad trivia, just kind of oh wow, thing that happened was when Winona Ryder received the script for Heathers and was kind of mulling over taking it on or, getting to choose her roles as Winona Ryder did in the 80s. As she was looking over the script, someone from her high school had committed suicide. And the trivia bit is that is what pushed her to do the movie.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a piece of trivia that it wasn't necessarily a direct quote from Winona. I mean, if I read it online, it must be true. But yeah, Winona Ryder and Christian Slater were brilliant. Brad Pitt was also considered for JD, but then the note was that he's too nice. He just looks too nice.
Hysterical.
Yeah. Imagine a Brad Pitt as JD.
I don't
think it works. I don't want it. Do you prefer Veronica from the movie or Veronica from the musical? I am gonna say Veronica from the movie. There's something about the kind of nonchalantness of Veronica in the movie that I really like for her character. A big difference from the movie and the musical is the movie just opens and Veronica's in the Heathers. You can tell she's kind of different from the rest of them because she just doesn't care about all of the kind of high school BS that the other Heathers clearly do. In the musical, we see Veronica as an outsider who then craves a boon and gets brought into the Heathers in the musical. Like, so you get that backstory there, you don't get that in the movie.
That is exactly why I disagree.
You prefer musical Veronica?
Because you create a foil. In the movie, she doesn't care, then she doesn't care, and then at the end, she doesn't care.
She doesn't care.
Veronica doesn't change.
That's true.
In the musical, she is Martha's friend and an outcast. She gets sucked into the cult of the red scrunchie and is constantly having to resist it. And then she comes out a changed person with a changed perspective and an enlightened point of view. We see Veronica get burned by the idea of popularity and superiority in the musical. In the movie, we only see Veronica get heartbroken by a psycho. The stakes aren't high.
I don't know. After all of your talking points, I think I changed my answer.
Ah,
So
I win.
Congratulations, Barrett.
Like and subscribe. See you later.
No, we have one more question.
You ready?
I think so.
What do you think made Heathers a cult classic? I have mine. Can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
I think the darkness, like we sort of saw a couple things kind of akin to Heathers before Heathers, not really all that close, but kind of. We saw Heathers after Heathers, but it never got that dark. You know what I mean? And edgy in a dark way, but also edgy in a weird way. Veronica's monocle and the croquet and everything. Like it was sort of bizarre.
Yeah.
In a dark way. It
was
kind
like
of
artsy.
Yeah, like it very much felt like an indie film. And I think that grit maybe is a better word for it. Makes it sort of iconiqua. But I also think the language, like mythic soup me gently with a chainsaw, how very, just all of these.
Did you eat a brain tumor for breakfast?
Right, like all of these I know it was the 80s, but just these memeable lines.
Yes.
Like that then when you take that language and you drag it and you drop it into, 2014, it's just as like, oh my God, this is the most quotable thing ever. Like it didn't age because it's timeless. It exists completely outside of the world because no one talks that way. And that to me is what makes any sort of like successful kind of culty thing really pop, is that you have only heard these words in this order in this story. 1000%.
I think as far as the movie goes, I think it's the tropes. I think it is the 3 popular girls who accept an outsider, try and change her. Like, it created that trope.
Yeah, no.
For Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, Clueless, Jawbreaker. I mean, like, they're different versions of that.
Yeah.
But they're still that.
But they're still that. Like, I just fully think that it's a cult classic because of the trope that it created and like the high school world that it created. All of that is in the musical. And I think the most obvious answer is the music. In the musical.
Oh, I didn't even talk about the musical.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like the music in the musical made it soar.
Yeah. No,
and
Larry is so talented. Bat Boy is amazing. Legally Blonde is great. But like Heathers is his masterpiece. Like, and I mean, maybe he's got more in him. I'm sure he does. He's literally like a genius. But
Heathers is brilliant. I have so much love for both the movie and the musical, and I'm so glad you were part of the musical.
Me too.
Like, truly, your JD is just
he's
incredible.
dork.
He's dark, but incredible. And I truly listen to the soundtrack all the time.
Yeah.
Not around you, but all the time.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Guys, we did it. We talked about Heathers.
Oh yeah, you're welcome, Dad. If you have any ideas for videos that you want to see, things you want us to discuss, either here at Versus, on our Wednesday videos, for a vlog, for an intelligent drinking game, whatever, leave it in the comments below. We love to appease you, Daddy.
We do.
That sounded so creepy.
Whoa.
But you're Daddy. Sorry, you named yourself. That's what you wanted.
Fans. As always,
be sure to like and subscribe.
Again, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you guys in a future video.
Bye, Daddy.
Bye.